Hello, friends. If you're anything like me, you're passionate about creating a peaceful community, and you're wondering, how do I make it happen? How do they make them create a peaceful community? Because there's only so much a teacher can do, and then we can't force them. So how do we get them to be as excited about it as we are? Today I'm going to talk to you about one of the tools that I use to help the students buy in, help the students get personally invested in creating their own peaceful community. I am so passionate about creating a peaceful community, not just for my sake, like it would be really easy peasy and nice and chill if everyone was peaceful, but for their sake. They need it. They need it desperately, especially in this neighborhood and in this time in our world. They need a place where they're safe. Not just that they are safe and they can go home without any bruises and getting hurt, but that they feel safe, that they're in a community. When they come to school, they know the people here, they're going to respect me. They've got my back. I can take these steps and take the risks that I might need to take to learn something new and try something new and figure out something new academically. In order for them to do that academically, they're going to need to be really emotionally safe, emotionally comfortable. They need that felt safety. So one of the tools that I use to help the students become personally invested in their own peaceful community is we take several different chunks during the first week of school to talk about what we want our community to look like. So I know traditionally a lot of teachers would go up and say, these are our school class rules. This is what we're going to do. Everybody understand. Check, 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 check. But I want the students to make it not just be the teacher's rules, but their own rules. So we spend quite a lot of time on the first week about it. The first day, I say, I know you have some big hopes for what this year is going to be like. What do you want this classroom to be like for you? How do you want to be treated in this classroom? And everybody has powerful, passionate ideas about how they want to be treated. And so we go around for a little while and have people share verbally what their ideas are. And then I give each person Post-it notes. And for some reason, Post-it notes are super exciting. And they write their ideas about how they want to be treated on a Post-it note and then put it up on our whiteboard. So I have first, second, and third graders in my Montessori classroom. And so the third graders might be writing complex sentences about how they want to be treated in this situation and why, whereas the first graders might even just put one word in a phonetic spelling, and they might even have to translate it for me of what they meant by that one word. But we're taking everything, all their ideas as very valid and very important ideas of how they want to be treated. Then we do other get-to-know-you activities, that kind of thing. While we come back to it, I say, oh, I've looked at these Post-it notes. And while they might not all have the same exact words on it, there's a certain pattern that I see coming out here, that they all have to do with something that's a very, very important and very similar thing. They all seem to say that you want to be treated with respect. And they're like, yeah, that's it. That's what mine says. That's what mine says. Me too, me too. And this is the sign language for agree. So they're saying, yeah, I agree. So I say, okay, that's really interesting. Let's let respect be one of the core values that our community has. And they're like, yeah, I love it. So then we talk about how if you want to be treated with respect, you need to treat others with respect. Treat others the way you want to be treated, the golden rule. And in this plane of development, these children are very interested in what is fair and right and just. So that makes a lot of sense to them, and they're on board. So we talk about, what does that look like? What does that sound like to treat others with respect? Think about how you want to be treated, and what would that sound like? What would you want somebody to say to you? What could you say to somebody else? So we start with that first one, respecting others. What would that look like? What would that sound like? And then I put little stick figures up on the whiteboard, and with little what do you call it? Like a comic strip dialogue bubble of what they would say. And we have them come up with things that they would say to each other if they were going to show respect. And so one of them is, if there was a mistake, the person that was showing respect might say, "I am so sorry," and really mean it. And the other person might say, "I forgive you." That's a huge way of showing respect. Saying I'm sorry, owning your mistake, and showing forgiveness and grace and courtesy to somebody. That is a huge way to show respect that is very absent in many classes. So we practice it. I'll talk to you about that in a different video of how we practice the apologizing script, because it takes some practice, and how we practice forgiveness, because it takes some practice. It's not just a script that we use, but the script is kind of helpful to help them say, when this happened, I felt I need, and next time would you? So they have great ideas of how they want to be treated and how they need to treat others. We talk about taking turns. We talk about using kind words. So all of the language on this tree, by the way, the roots of this tree have different kinds of respect on it. So this one in the middle is respecting others. And then the branches of the tree are things that they might say or how that would look. So ways that they're respecting others, they might take turns talking. They might stick up for each other. No bullying. They might help each other. They might say, "I forgive you." They might say, "I'm so sorry." Also, they might listen to each other and listen to the teacher. Should the teacher be treated with respect? And they're like, "Of course, the teacher should be treated with respect." Like, oh, wonderful. How would that look? They would listen to the teacher. They would say, "Yes, ma'am." They would not just ignore the teacher, but actually listen and then do what the teacher says, even if they didn't feel like it. Those are hard things. And I set the expectation, but I also help them practice it. And if they don't get it right, I say, "Let's try a redo and let's do it again. This time I'm going to ask you to do something. You're going to say, 'Okay,' and then you're actually going to do it. I know you can figure this out. Let's make it happen." And then they have another chance to listen and actually do what the teacher's asking. Being helpful to each other. They have all kinds of scenarios what that would be. How about being helpful in the playground? How about being helpful if somebody drops something? How can I help you? Those are powerful, respectful words. Also, we have different things that we talk about, different scenarios of what it would be like to be respectful in the lunchroom. And it would be like, "Come sit by me," instead of, "That seat is saved for so-and-so." How about you say, "Come sit by me, come sit here," and so-and-so will sit here. Right? Does that make sense? So there's a different way. There's a way to say something with respect. And we don't highlight a lot of this way to say something disrespectfully because they have plenty of practice with that. That just kind of comes naturally. But we might exit out and say, "You know what? That doesn't work in a respectful, peaceful community. That doesn't create peace." So one way that we could say, instead of saying "That seat is saved," or "Don't sit by me," we can say, come sit over here. Here, you can sit right here. Or if somebody is feeling left out on the playground, you can say, "Sure, I'll play with you." Or, "How about if I play with you in a couple minutes once I finish making this pile of sticks," or whatever. So we talk about lots of different scenarios for how respecting others would look in different situations. And then I give them Post-it notes again, and I say, "Okay, I want you to write something on your Post-it note that is saying, like, something you would say if you were being respectful." And they have all the different ideas, from some that we talked about and some that we didn't talk about. They put that on the whiteboard again. We go through them and highlight some of them that we want to put on our tree branches, that they're all agreeing with. Yes, that would be really helpful. That would help me feel peaceful in this community. Then we talk about respecting ourselves. So that's something that they're not as familiar with, that language at least. And so we talk about what it would be like to respect yourself. One of those ways is to know when you are getting too frustrated and when you're getting too upset, and letting yourself know that you need to take a break. So we have a sign language. We use a lot of sign language in our classroom. I'll make another video about all the different sign language that we use because it's been really helpful, and it also teaches respect for those that use sign language. We have a student in our class that often uses sign language, and it was really neat because even the year before as she was coming, we were using quite a lot of sign language, and I said, guess what? We have another student coming that uses sign language, and everybody's really excited. Of course, I'm passionate about sign language, and my passion spreads to the kids. I love how that happens. It's really, really cute to see them be like, oh, I found a sign language dictionary at my library, and my mom let me check it out, and oh, I learned the sign language for this. Did you know the sign language for this? It's just they're so excited about it. They're teaching me new things. But we come up with signs also that aren't in American Sign Language. Like, for example, this is a sign language that signals, I need a break. And when you put your hand on your chest, you can focus on your breath. We practice breathing too, but that will be in a different video. So we practice having a slow and gentle breath where your stomach goes in and out, not your chest. But this hand on your chest helps you focus on slowing your heart rate and slowing your breath. So not only does it work for students who need a break, they'll put their hand on their chest and the other student knows they need a break. It also works if a student is being corrected by a teacher. I've taught them that if you go like this, I'm going to give you a break. I will address it, obviously, and make sure we solve the problem. But if you go like this, I'm going to give you a chance to calm your body before we keep going, because they're not going to be able to solve the problem if they're not calm anyway. Also, it works for me, and I model it sometimes, even if I'm not at the frustration level where I'm about to explode, but I am feeling frustrated, I'll go, and they know that that means I need a break. So even if they have to wait a few seconds, they're seeing me model that in real life, real peaceful grown-ups actually need to take a break in order to calm their bodies down. And then afterwards I'll say, oh, thank you so much for letting me take a second to calm my breath, slow my heart rate, calm my body down. Thank you, I feel much better. And then I would proceed with the lesson or proceed with whatever it is that I was trying to address. So knowing when you need a break is a really powerful way to respect yourself. Also, saying I need a break, saying I need some water, saying I need to rest, saying I'm going to try again, or I can do hard things. That's not something they've had practice saying for the most part. So, and my kids with my family would say it a lot. And I model saying it. Ooh, I'm feeling frustrated. Do you think I should cry and pout and whine? And they'll say, no, don't do it. It won't work. I say, you're right. That doesn't work in real life. What should I do? Take a deep breath. You can try it again. You can do hard things. And so it's really fun when the students say back to me, you can do hard things, Miss Roberts. Good job trying. So that was, that's kind of a culture that I model, but also encourage them to practice. And so we talk about it from the very start, saying, I can do hard things. I will keep trying. I can try again. Because what I'm going to ask them to do is hard things. I'm saying this is first, second, and third grade. This is like your first step into the real world. This isn't just preschool anymore. We are actually going to do really hard things, really challenging things. And the reason we're going to do it is because I know you can do hard things, and I know you can meet the challenge. And once it feels so great to be able to finish something and accomplish something that was really challenging. And I want these kids to have that feeling. So I talk to them about, I'm going to ask you to do hard things. And you might feel frustrated at some of the times. So what can you do to respect yourself in those times? They have great ideas. They write it on Post-it notes. We put it up on the board. These are in segments, right? Not all in one big chunk. You can know your students so you can know how you need to do it. And not all of them are all at the board at the same time. It's like I've cleared them off. I've studied them and I've reviewed them with the students and I've put them on the branches. Now we're talking about respecting ourselves. Now all of these ways that we can respect ourselves are going to go up on the whiteboard. And we're going to share our ideas together and make sure that we agree on some that we're going to put on the branches. Then we talk about respecting our learning environment, our work environment. So I'm in a Montessori classroom with beautiful materials, and the students are able to walk around and get the materials. So we have had to practice that respecting our work environment and our learning environment means taking care of those materials and putting the rubber band back on when you're done, and putting it back in the basket nice and neat, and putting the basket in the right place. I'll talk more about how I do that, but I have a picture of how each shelf is supposed to look, and that picture is in a clear plastic frame on the top of each shelf, so that they can look at the picture on the top of the shelf and know where the material is supposed to go without asking a teacher. That way the material gets back in the right place, especially in the beginning of the year when nobody knows where it's supposed to go anyway, and they can't remember where they got it from. So anyways, putting the materials back, taking turns with the materials, treating them materials with respect, walking through the environment, not running, using a quiet voice. When we're in work cycle, our voice is on a level 1, so it's just whispering about the work to your work partner. And when the students gets higher than that, I'll say, and they'll know that means they need to lower their voice to 1, and they're able to buy into it, because they know that in order for them to learn, they need it to be somewhat orderly. Even if there's the little hum going on in the classroom, they need it to be somewhat orderly and somewhat peaceful and somewhat quiet so that they can focus. We talk about putting away your mat and putting away the different things. That's also part of the whole concept of the first week, is learning the specific routines and how we line up inside the classroom, and how we listen well to each other, how we listen to the teacher. Another way that we show respect to our learning environment is always keep learning. So that's part of respecting yourself, to keep trying again, and also respecting the learning environment is to jump into the challenge and always keep on learning new things. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I have a picture of this that you can see all the different things. Oh, I forgot to say, so once I have gathered all of their ideas with the Post-it notes in 3 different segments, or maybe even 4 different segments, because the first one was how do you want to be treated, to kind of get them involved in it, then I have written this outline of a tree, and the roots of the tree are respect ourselves, respect others, and respect our work environment. The branches of the trees are ways that would look, are things that we might say in order to respect ourselves. And then I make sure everybody has agreed with it, and I come around with the different colors of ink pads so that they can choose their color, and it makes it look like a beautiful fall tree. They're so excited about taking their thumbprint and signing the contract with their thumbprint. And if I have to, we come back and we review. What did you agree to? These are our agreements. This is what we need, what you need. If you need this, then everybody else needs it as well. So thank you for joining me and listening to how I start to help my kids get more engaged in creating their own peaceful community. If you have any comments on how you help your students have a peaceful community, I would love for you to share that in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me and to our students in the Woodson community. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.